Hello and good morning and welcome to the Facebook Live. Really excited to have a good friend of mine today with me, Trent from Teach It Forward. Welcome, Trent, to your first Facebook Live with us.
Yeah, that's it. It's a debut. Thanks very much, Dick. I'm excited, mate.
Should be a bit of fun. So while we're waiting for everyone to come on live, for those that are listening to the recording, today we're going to be talking about my journey with Entrepreneurs Organisation, which all links back to something really exciting that we launched last week at our client event, Trent, which was the TOA Collaboration Circles powered by Teach It Forward. Really excited to be kicking these off with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I mean, I think that I've been really inspired by your journey at EO, and I thought we've got to tell this story. And I think the collaboration within EO is really similar to what we're creating here with the collaboration circle. So it's going to be awesome. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, so for anyone that wants to check out what this new service is that we launched, you can go to toaglobalcc.com. And you can learn more about it there for our wonderful clients. This is only for TOA clients. So if you're not a client of ours, unfortunately, you can't join that unless you become a client of ours. But Trent, let's kick off today. We seem to be running live across all platforms now. So let's kick it off. Let's get into it.
So collaboration is obviously a very powerful tool, and particularly in these COVID times, this is probably a time that most people should really look at it seriously. You did this with the EO organisation. So many moons ago when you were starting and building your business. So firstly, what is EO? What does it stand for? What does it look like?
Yeah, so EO's organisation called Entrepreneurs Organisation, global organisation, started by a gentleman called Vern Harnish. So anyone that knows Scaling Up, Vern, who wrote that. Yeah, so he actually started Entrepreneurs many, many years ago. It's now across most countries globally. It has over 20,000 members, and I was part of the Brisbane chapter in Australia, so the Queensland chapter, and I sat on the board for a couple of years, and that's really, I resisted joining EO. So this is something I actually haven't told you, Trent, but for many years, a good friend of mine, Aaron Zamikal, who's actually was in the financial planning industry when I was, and for many years he told me about EO, and I told him, look, it's just not for me. I'm not into this cult thing. It seems to be like this cult of entrepreneurs, and I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I just want to run a good business, serve my clients. But after, it was probably when Rob Nixon, old Robbie Nixon from the industry, the accounting industry, he came out and he was the membership chair. He came out to the office and he did a sales job on me, and I signed up immediately. So I really got the value after that. But for many years, I resisted joining it. But it was truly one of the best things that I've done in my working and business ownership career.
So it's interesting that you resisted it, because I think a lot of accountants can see value in programs like this, but with everything that's going on in their core business and their team and challenges, like you just go, how would I fit it in? So what was happening, in your business at the time for then when Rob spoke to you, going, mate, I've got to do it. What was happening?
I was going through huge growth. So we had large growth going on. I didn't know the answers to everything. Before that, I thought I did. I was not the, what would be the word? I wasn't the academic type. So I wasn't into learning so much. I read a lot of books, but I thought, how can I really learn from this? And with EO, a large part of it was the events they ran. So they had people like Vern Harnish, they had people like Mark Moses, Jack Dowley, like all these big name speakers that, to pay and go to an event cost a huge amount, but they got those out every month. And I thought, well, I can learn from those guys. And I bought into this whole idea of, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I can learn. And, they're all the people that I was in a group with. So part of EO is that you meet with a group every single month, and it's for a half day, which basically takes up your whole day. And that was one of the things at the start I went, I just don't have the time. I'm running a fast growth business where we're exploding. We can't keep up with what we're promising and delivering. How can I then take a day out of my time to prepare? Plus I need to go to these events once a month, and I just don't have the time. And that's what I told myself for years. And then, Rob came along and said, look, just come to one of our events. And I went to the event and I'm like, hang on, this is my group. Like for years I've been going to networking things, and all I did was get sold to the whole time. And I was there to hand out as many cards, and EO was, you can't sell to each other. It's about learning and growing. And I'm like, hang on, this speaker is unbelievable. Like I couldn't get this speaker. He only comes to Australia for EO. And then no one tried to sell to me. I wasn't trying to sell to anyone. I was there to learn. And then everyone was just chatting and sharing stories. And I'm like, hang on, this is my tribe. Like, this is the people I want to be around, because that guy there owns an airline. That guy over there owns this business. He owns a golf course. Like, I can learn what they're doing in best practice in their industry and apply that to mine. And I was a bit of a lone wolf. I stayed away from a lot of the industry events, which in hindsight now I wish that I got involved in the Xero community. And, we're a Xero Platinum partner, but I never went to any Xero events. We're one of the bigger users, but yet I never associated with anyone. So that was the big learning that I learned after. And I think that's the thing that Xero did for me. It really, it opened my eyes to learning without going to a networking thing and trying to have to sell to someone or getting sold to the whole time, or having to take a lead that week. BNI I was part of, and not anti BNI, but you have to turn up with leads every week. It's like, how are you building relationships when you're having to take a lead for someone? Like, it's just wasn't my thing. It just didn't work for us.
So you were growing, and you realised that in order to grow better or faster, you needed to learn more. You needed to put yourself into an environment where, getting those distinctions or getting that idea or strategy would make the greatest difference. And so it was the environment you were searching for. Is that a fair synopsis?
It definitely was. I mean, as an accountant and a financial planner, people paid me for my advice. So I was always willing to give my advice. Anyone that asked me, I'd give it to them. I'd freely give you the advice.
You still do it very well too.
Yeah, I know, I do it well. But, now I'm learning from... But the thing with EO is that I learned really quickly is you couldn't give advice. You could only talk if you've had that experience in the past. So suddenly you're sharing ideas with peers that if I haven't gone through that, I can't give my opinion. And that was one of the best things, is that, if I had a challenge within the business or I wanted to understand what marketing they were doing well, I would ask them and they would all share from their experience. And I learned so quickly from that, as opposed to, in other environments where you're going to it and people are giving you their opinions, but they've never done it before. Like, I had one of our clients a couple of years ago, we fired him, but, he runs it's him in the business, and he was trying to tell me how to run a global business through an earthquake. It's like, mate, have you ever gone through this before? It's how, value your opinion, but don't try and tell me how to run my business when you've never done anything like this before. So I think that's the benefit of, I was looking for that group that I could share and connect ideas with, but people that were going through the same things that I've been through. And I think that was one of the most important things, that they'd been there. They were going through those same pains and, tribulations that we all go through as business owners. And I think that's one of the big benefits within our industry, is there's not enough, I suppose, of that community where you can really share ideas and grow together.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and I've been running these collaboration groups for 8 years, Nick, and that's similar feedback to what we've received. And when you're in that community and getting that learning and sharing, why would you ever want to leave? So that leads me to the question for you with the EO. Like, how long did you do it for? Was it just a 6-month thing, or?
I only recently left, so I left within the last 12 months, but I did it for over 6 years. So I was in it for 6 years. Now, the reason why I left, my whole group left. So one of them sold his golf course and exited. The other one sold his recruitment business and retired. So a lot of the group were going through, they were at the back end of their careers and journeys, and they were retiring and exiting. So our group all left at the same time, but I'm now rejoining what I would call the next level, which is called YPO, which is for people that have, it's more than $20 million turnover, it's more than 50 employees. So it's a different level. So EO is really sole owner, well, not sole owner, but $1 million plus businesses. They're not the large corporate businesses. So YPO is the tribe I'm now looking at joining and going into, because I'm missing it. I've been out of it 6 months or 12 months now, actually. And, my old EO group, we catch up regularly. But it's not the same when I'm not doing it every month. But for 6 years, we would turn up every single month. It'd be pretty much a full day. It'd be in Brisbane. I'd drive up there. We would have retreats. Every 6 months, we would go away for 2 or 3 days together. So it was a big investment, but I got massive value out of it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sharing the experiences and like congruency is a major part of Teach It Forward, which is practice what you preach. Don't in the sales context of accounting, we say, look, don't try to sell something you don't do yourself. And I think that's what you were saying is a major principle and belief of the EO experience. So so getting all those distinctions, getting the stories, hearing the mistakes, sounds like a massive amount of learning and great benefit you received. Were there any other benefits that you felt you got from the EO journey of 6 years?
Yeah, look, I think the other part was definitely the learning, just the exposure to different businesses. I mean, I went to international events because I was on the board. I got to go to multiple events and meet. I mean, it was the community. That was the big part, is the global EO community. So if I go across to America, I could reach out to any of the chapters and say, look, I'm going to be in Austin this week. Can you put something out to the chapter about anyone that wants to catch up and have dinner? And then you would meet with someone and you just have an instant connection because you're part of EO. Even in North America, we've won clients because I was on a podcast. I'd mention EO. They would hear that. They were a member of EO. They're an accountant. They would reach out and say, look, I heard the podcast, loved it. You're an EO member. Let's do business. Like, how can I join? How can I join part of your community and become a client of yours? Because we need it and you're EO. So there's that instant connection. And I think that's the big thing. Yeah, it's that community part. That's the key part. And I know that we're talking about, the collaboration circles that we launched to our clients last week. And that's a big part of what we wanted to do, is build that community of our clients, because everyone's made the same mistakes. It's learning from others. And that's the part that I really get the most value out is learning from others. And someone's always walked in your shoes, and it might be just a different path, but you can always learn from them. And that's the real key part of, I suppose, my journey and what I got so much out of it.
I think you'll find too, like the Teach It Forward collaboration circles that we run, it's interesting how they catch up and go to the footy. When the guys who live in the regional go into Melbourne and they catch up or they have dinner. I think something you didn't say, but I'm hearing between the lines, which is similar to the collaboration circles we run, there's a trust. It's rare there's trust in business, true trust, unless you've had a long tenure. So when you're in that EO group, because they were in the EO group, you trusted them to go and have dinner and openly talk, which is the same in our collaboration circles. And that's exactly what's going to happen with TOA Global CCs as well. So
yeah, it was. And I think that's one of the big things is that we would talk about personal, business and family. So we would talk about 3 areas in EO, and that was one thing that EO is slightly different to the collaboration circles that we've launched. A lot of it was hinged around family and personal. And, I went through divorce during that time. One of, my EO buddies went through divorce, and we were able to share experiences that we'd gone through. So I think that when you're in these types of groups, you do build a deep level of trust and rapport that you can ring them and say, look, mate, I'm struggling. Like, I'm struggling, managing my work life and my family life. And, my wife's called me out on it, and she's, potentially gonna, I've got to make a choice. Like, you can have those conversations when you build those relationships, but you've got to build those relationships and that trust and it's a two-way street. Everyone's got to be open and expose themselves and be real. Yeah.
And I've found, because I've worked with the accounting industry now for 12, 13 years, I understand the industry. I actually speak the fluent Accountanese, believe it or not. And there is a way of building that trust. And, trust does need to be earned. But I think it's the approach and the mindset you come into it. So, that really leads me to probably my last question, Nick, is like, would everybody be suited to something like EO or the TOA collaboration circle, or what people wouldn't suit and would suit?
Yeah, so EO is, it's often called a cult or a tribe. People that are growth focused, people that are open and exposed to learning. The same with our collaboration circles. The businesses that want to serve their clients better, the businesses that want to become more effective and more efficient so they can serve their clients more. People that are really growth focused, and that doesn't mean you have to double your business every year, but you have a growth mindset. You want to open your mind and learn and grow. And you want to be at the forefront of the industry. You don't want to be following, you want to be leading. And you want to, I think the thing where it doesn't work, these sort of groups, and this is definitely one of the key things that we've said when we launched it, obviously last week to our clients, is that this isn't fit for everyone, because if you don't have an open mindset and you're not open to feedback and potential criticism and learning new ways, this is not for you. So if you're someone that knows everything and you think everything is perfect, then great. This is not really the group for you, because we want people that will want to share experiences. We want people that will expose what they're doing really well, but also be vulnerable to go, you know what? It may look really great from the outside, but we're really struggling with this. How can you help me? And I think that's the key part, is being able to go, you know what? Behind the windows, it may look good, but it isn't. How are you dealing with this so that you can learn and grow from that? So people that are willing to learn and grow, not people that think they know everything.
Yeah. And I think a very important distinction, Nick, in the way that we run the collaboration circles, is that when the businesses come in, I look at them as if they've already got a good business. And so it's not about trying to find the weaknesses and break it all down and make major changes. This is not about that. You've got a great business. You know your business best, but it's just finding the little parts you can tweak or wedge there, and having third-party people in your same industry who've been through it just gives it more credibility, which gives you confidence to then leave that group, at the end of that session and go and implement. So, I'm sure that EO, you implemented. You can have all the great learning, but if you don't implement, it's not going to be as a good a return investment.
Yeah, and I always say to every event that I speak at, I always say, look, you would have written pages and pages of notes, but if you don't implement anything and nothing changes, don't expect anything to change. And I just want to go back to that peer-to-peer point. So we've recently sent out our MPS. So we had our client event last week, obviously, to our client community, and since then, the feedback that we've been getting, I altered
What's an MPS?
A Net Promoter Score. So the happiness of the client. So one of the big things is we added a lot more clients into this one to tell their story about how they're training and growing their overseas team, or just their business journey and their business story. And that was one of the biggest things that I did on the agenda was, I suppose, insert more clients to tell their story and how they're doing it, rather than us, projecting onto them what they should be doing. So one of the biggest feedback we got was, absolutely love the peer-to-peer learning. The ideas that came from them, it wasn't just TOA telling us how we should do it. We were learning from people that had done it. And it just, to me, cemented the whole idea of, the whole point of these collaboration circles and that service that we've launched in partnership with you is exactly that, is that you will learn and grow from each other. And I got that from EO. EO was my avenue for many years. And, being able to create that for our community is something that's, deep in my heart, and I know it is with you, and that's why we've clicked and built this partnership together so that we can really deliver it. And I know that on Thursday we're running a webinar, so our first. So we're running a bunch of education series. We're running a Facebook Live every week, and we're running a webinar every week for the next 3 weeks. So do you want to just give me, I'm going to flip it around to you. I'm going to throw you into it now.
As a bit of a live, eh?
I'm always prepared. I'm always putting you on the spot. But
I love it.
On Thursday at 10:30, we are covering off the first part that we really think is most critical is getting people aligned as part of the collaboration circles and getting them to have that business strategy. So what are we covering in the webinar on Thursday? What are you covering? Because you're presenting 99% of it. So what are we going to really be going through on Thursday and addressing?
Yeah, so what I want to share is a foundational philosophy as to how we grow businesses. A lot of the accounting firms that are outsourcing with your firm are looking into the business advisory and looking at how to start that. And so I'm going to share with you how we plan, what the model is that every one of your clients can relate to. And I just want to take you through that and then really hone in on one of the tools called a clarity plan that you can do with your clients like straight away, and that will really build that connection and community for the accounting firm to their client base. So we'll start with them doing it for themselves, as the accounting leaders, and then it's an opportunity to go and share with their clients. So I want to just delve into some real practical model and some real practical tools. So the 5 core tools that you can bring into your clients and for your own firm. And I think you'll get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that I loved about it was that, you know, when you started going through what you're covering off, particularly that clarity plan, which I know we'll cover in a lot more detail, and the clarity plan is really around what does the business owner want? What does the actual owner want? And it made me think about it and, you know, what motivates me? What's my end goal? What's my, you know, what do I need to get from the business every year so that I can fulfill my personal needs? And And I know I've talked to you multiple times about this, but when I surveyed our clients in the industry about 6 weeks ago, oh, it was actually more than 6 weeks ago, looking at it now, is in June, saying how many of you have actually done your business strategy for next financial year? We're going into the financial year, which we're now halfway through the first quarter. And it surprised me how few accounting businesses and bookkeeping businesses have actually done their business plan / strategy, whatever you want to call it, for this financial year. And I know that, you know, job keepers are, you know, we're busy with everything that's going on. But the reality is, if we're not focusing on what we're trying to do with the business and taking that helicopter view, how are we going to serve our clients and our team members if we don't actually, if we're a rudderless boat? So, you know, that's the big part that I'm excited about, is getting, you know, our clients in the industry in line with what do they want to achieve the next 12 months? You know, what do they want to achieve personally from the clarity plan? And you know, when you went through that process, and I've been in the industry a long time running my own practice, I loved it. I took pages and pages in my notebook of notes from Trent about just, and it's stuff that I've heard and know. And I think this is the thing, is that everyone that attends will be able to learn something to make their business a better business. So if you haven't registered yet, it is on Thursday at 10:30. We'll put the link in the comments here so that you can register. Trent, I'm really excited about that session on Thursday. Again, our Facebook Live next week. Love doing these. This is our first one together. So
it is, yeah. We've got through it, which is great. I hope it's been value for everyone.
Yeah,
you've been on fire.
Hopefully it was fun for you, like it was for me. I know that I got to talk the whole time. So
I'm standing up next time. I'm standing up.
I am standing up. So I am near my wall in the office. So, mate, really appreciate your time today, and look forward to catching up with you again on Thursday for that first webinar that we're going to deliver a bunch of value to our TOA community. Really excited for it. So thank you again, Trent.
Good on you, Nick. Thanks, mate. Thank you, everyone, for
coming. Chat to you soon. Take care, mate.